What's up everybody, this is Carl from Abundant Living Ecuador, and today we are visiting Rumi Wilco Eco Lodge and Nature Reserve. So right here at the entrance of Rumi Wilco, as you come in, you can come and pick your personal guide right here. So you can take this little booklet and bring it on to the journey. And in there, you can see the totality of the trail systems here. So we're gonna be going on a hike and checking out those different areas. There's also some more information about the type of trees and other things here in Rumi Wilco. And there's a suggested $2 donation per person. Oh, and also you are supposed to sign in here with your name, where you're from, etc. as you're coming in and as you're leaving. Rumi Wilco is a natural reserve, is a protected area here in Vilcabamba, Ecuador. So for that reason, we have a list of rules here, and I'm gonna read them for you. So Rumi Wilco has a self-guided trail system. We are entering a protected area. You are expected to honor its conservation norms. So dogs and horses are not allowed. Do not disturb wildlife, damage or cut plants. Do not take away natural objects. Garbage, yes. Do not leave the designated paths. Also, open hours are from sunrise to sunset, and pay attention to safety warnings. Info booklet with map at the sign in and out cabin next to the entrance gate. So we have the little booklet here. We're gonna be reading as we go, and let's go explore the beautiful Rumi Wilco Natural Reserve here in Vilcabamba, Ecuador. So I wanted to mention the contribution box. Of course, there's a $2 per person contribution. So I don't have change. I will give $5 here in the box for our visit here for me and Fernando. And let's go on those trails and let's go check it out. So right here as we're coming in, there's a sign that explains the density of biodiversity and the quantity of flora and fauna found in this beautiful nature reserve. So according to this, there are 700 species of plants, 143 species of birds, 20 species of mammals, 11 species of reptiles, and 140 species of butterflies that are found here in Vilcabamba, in this valley, the sacred valley of longevity. So Rumi Wilco is a very special place. They are really preserving the nature here. It's a natural reserve, protected area by the government. So we're gonna go explore and see how it is. Oh, just want to point out the beautiful sound of the birds. There's a lot of wildlife here, the beautiful birds. Hopefully we can see some today on this adventure. So Rumi Wilco was named after the famous Wilco tree, which is the tree that Vilcabamba was named after. Vilcabamba used to be known as Vilcopampa, the valley of the Wilcos. So there are a lot of Wilco trees here, and Rumi means stone in the Quechua language. So this is the Wilco stone or the Wilco stony mountain. A lot of beautiful Wilco trees all around the property. And you can recognize the Wilco by its leaves, but also by its bark. Have this very unique bark that's very recognizable of the Wilco tree. The longer you live here, the more you can recognize these trees very easily. So as you can hear, we have the river down below, the Vilcabamba River. This large tree here is a aguiron. It's growing right way down below by the river basically. And you can see, kind of the top part of it here. It's a very large tree, beautiful, beautiful tree. And of course, down by the river, there's a lot of banana trees and other fruit trees that were cultivated and planted there. They do rent cabins here, so they have cabins for rent. We'll put a link in the description down below for their cabin, their Airbnb, their website. So you can rent a place if you come down here. It's beautiful. You feel like you're in nature, of course. You're right by the river. It's sort of rustic style cabins. Beautiful, beautiful cabins down below. Let's go down there and take a look. I wanted to show you guys this large Sabo tree. It's down there. You can kind of see it, but follow me and we'll go a little closer. So this right here is a Sabo tree. This big tree with the spikes. This is a very large one. These trees are beautiful, beautiful trees. They have these large spikes on them, and they used to be very common here. Apparently, they're a little bit more of an endangered species. They're not very well. You see them around, but they used to be, to grow wild. This one was probably been there for 50, 60 years or more. But yeah, beautiful large tree. They hold a lot of water in their trunks, and they're kind of an iconic tree here in Southern Ecuador. This is a cherimoya tree or custard apple. Right here, it has these delicious sweet fruits when they're in season. So here we finally made it to the first trail. This is Gully 1, so G1, Quebrada 1. It doesn't seem to go very far. I think it leads to those large aguiron trees right over here. This looks like gorgeous large aguirón. I'm very excited to go take a look at it. So let's go up there and check it out. So right here behind me, we have a phenomenon where two trees are kind of growing on top of each other. And this is actually a Sabo tree. So one of those large trees is the Sabo tree. And this is referred to as a fig tree, which is, it's the aguirón that I was referring to earlier. It's also a type of figs. Now they're not large edible figs, but the animals might eat them. And they are basically growing on top of each other. And the aguirón is the one, I believe, that's wrapping itself around because it has these very large roots, this root system. So look at the size of this monster here. Beautiful, beautiful tree. Let me see if I can climb up here and take a look and relax from the stressful day-to-day life in Vilcabamba, Ecuador. Here we are continuing on the sendero on the main trail. We have what's referred to as níspero. They have some little yellow fruits. You want to eat them when they're yellow. These are not ripe yet. They grow all over the place here along the rivers in many areas, and they're very good. They're sweet. You don't see them a lot in the market because they don't really stay good for very long after you harvest them, but you can definitely eat them on the trail as you're hiking. So right here we have another higuerón, and I just want to point out that I made a mistake a couple of times at the beginning. I said aguirón. It's actually higuerón, which means a large fig tree. So this is the higuerón tree. As you can see, the root system is wild, beautiful. It looks like it's growing on top of this large rock. So very impressive. I love these trees. They're very, very cool. And the right pronunciation is higuerón. I stand corrected by the Rumi Wilco guidebook. So we saw this beautiful little bird here. Fernando is grabbing the camera. I'm gonna try to get some live footage of it, some photos. So here we finally arrived at the gully trail number 2. So actually right here. So we are going to start ascending up to the higher parts of this land. All right, so here's another really good example of the Sabo tree. Look at the size of this trunk. This is a really large tree and it has spikes, dangerous spikes. I mean, you wouldn't want to fall on this, that's for sure. And my understanding is they grow really, really old. They hold on to a lot of, they just, you know, they grow like that and they grow very old. And yeah, they're quite dangerous. Once again, the Sabo tree. This one is massive. That's probably the biggest one I've ever seen, actually. So as you can see here, this large rock formation, impresionante. You can see a lot of mushrooms, funguses growing on the bark of this tree, this dead tree. Well, it might still be alive, actually, part of it. And it's a Wilco tree. It's a Wilco tree right here. So it's starting to drizzle a little bit. I don't know if you can hear the rain, but this is February, typically referred to as the rainy season. So we're getting a little bit of rain these days. That's why everything is lush and vibrant in Vilcabamba. Hopefully it doesn't rain too hard, but we could also get soaked in rain, so we'll see what happens. So right here we made it to ST1, which is the slope trail 1. So we're gonna go there. That way we can connect to the other trails and go up to the top. I'd love to make it all the way to the top there on the RT3, the Ridge Trail number 3. So here on the map, we're basically right here. We're not that far up. We're about halfway up. But from here you see beautiful views of the Vilcabamba town, and yeah, it's really gorgeous. You can see the church, you can see basically all of downtown and most of the town of Vilcabamba, which is great. So right here where I'm pointing, this is the San Pedro cactus, also referred to as huachuma. San Pedro is a desert cactus. It's so-called a plant medicine. So shamans will make a concoction with it and drink it, and other people will do that as well in a ceremony setting. And San Pedro has high levels of mescaline. So it's a hallucinogenic, psychoactive cactus. It grows wild everywhere around here. I say it's a desert cactus because it gets really dry here in the dry season. And you know, the San Pedro thrives like most cactuses, and it doesn't grow in the jungle, so it doesn't grow in a very humid place. Right now it's the rainy season, it's more humid, so of course the San Pedro is fine with that. But yeah, so interesting thing to note, and it's really everywhere. You can see it around town, you can see it on the mountains, it grows wild. So San Pedro cactus. We have a town next door called San Pedro de Vilcabamba, so I don't know if the town was named after the cactus or something like that. But the story behind the cactus, from what I understand, part of it, San Pedro in the Roman Catholic culture is Saint Peter, who is the guardian of the gates of heaven, and they named the cactus after Saint Peter. So interesting little detail to know. So right here we have a crossroad. We could go up to RT1 and go up the Ridge Trail, but we're gonna keep going so we can connect to the other trails that direction. This right here is the tuna or prickly pear, also known as the cactus fruit. It's not producing fruits right now. It's not the season. They seem to be producing when it's drier out, but they have these delicious fruits. They're named tuna here in Spanish, not like the tuna fish, but the prickly pear, like I know they do grow in the south of the United States, in Arizona, Texas, in some of those areas, northern Mexico as well. But they do grow very well here, and you can find them in the market when they're in season. So this right here is a very, very old, ancient San Pedro cactus. As you can see, it's kind of falling apart, it's drying up. It's almost like wood in there. It has a very large trunk, but this is also the San Pedro cactus. And there's a bunch of spiders here. And you can see the San Pedro cactus kind of looks like that when it's young. These are very, very old, so it's typically like a bright, a dark green, kind of a beautiful cactus. It usually has 6 or 7 ridges around the outside, and yeah, it grows very well here. Some of the local people will even plant it around their house, and they say that it's sort of a protector energetically for the property. So that's one of the beliefs here in Ecuador. And let me show you the spider here. This is also interesting. Venga, por favor, Fernando. Right here you see the spider. This is a very, very small one. It's moving a bit. This is a very, very small one. There's a season here in Vilcabamba where these things are everywhere. They grow relatively large. They are harmless, non-deadly, non-lethal. They won't harm you at all. But they're referred to as the golden orb weaver or the banana spider. And we probably can see some more on the way. Actually, I have footage of some larger ones. So right here we have the agave plant, which is what is used to make agave syrup and tequila. It does grow here in Vilcabamba region. I don't think anyone makes tequila here, but there are other areas of Ecuador where they have more agave and they actually make Ecuadorian tequila. So right here we have another massive Sabo tree. This one is ginormous. I mean, this is a very large tree. It's got all this beautiful moss growing on it. I mean, it is gorgeous. So right here, once again, we have a San Pedro cactus. You can see it much better from here, so I just thought you'd get a nice view. This is typically what it looks like most of the time you see it. So the other ones we saw earlier, they were much older. This is a bit of a younger one, or at least you can see the tip, which is almost like a green bluish color. Right here we go through this little obscure tree formation. It's pretty cool. And another thing I can tell you while we're here is how peaceful and quiet this place is. All you can hear are the sounds of the birds, the insects. You can't hear the sounds from the town here. It's very, very peaceful and quiet. Very relaxing. So this here is what is referred to in Ecuador as a quebrada, or a gully, or a drainage ditch. This is a natural formation that basically when it rains really hard, water will funnel from up in the top of the mountain and find its way through a quebrada. This is a quebrada seca. Currently there's no water. Now if we had an aguacero or a heavy rain, this would clearly fill up with water. You can tell it's actually all sandy. The ground here is it's completely sandy, so you have a lot of water that channels through here when it rains hard. And on that note, it is raining right now. I don't know if you can hear and appreciate the sound of the rain here, but it feels very peaceful, beautiful. We are getting a little bit wet, but it's okay. This is Vilcabamba, Ecuador, beautiful place. I can still see the sun out there, so there's probably a rainbow somewhere. So let's go up on this trail. Let's go try to find the rainbow up in the clouds. So right around here, I know there's a porotillo tree. This is a tree that has these pods, these like pink, orange, red pods, and there's typically a little red bean in it. The porotillo trees are interesting because a lot of people build living fences out of them. You cut a branch, stick it in the ground, it will grow into another tree. And the reason I know is because right here on the ground, you have a porotillo bean. They use them here sometimes to make necklaces, earrings, etc. And there's some more up on the trail here. I've seen a couple already. There's another one here. So this tells you there's a porotillo tree. So this is still a mystery to me, but I've seen this countless times. I still haven't figured it out. Write in the comment down below if you know why this is. But on some mountain trails, you will sometimes find these types of shells. So this is clearly a shell for some kind of slug or some kind of animal. You see them sometimes on mountain trails, but I don't know what lives in these. I don't know what carries this around. If it's like a snail, probably some type of large snail, but I haven't seen them. I've never seen them alive. I've only seen the hardened shells on the ground on the trail sometimes. So we'll research it and write it in the comment down below. So I just spoke to a local guy. He told me that these are slugs or snails, and they don't actually, so when they go out to eat, they leave their shell behind. They go out to eat some leaves and they come back. That's what I was told. So I don't know. We'll have to research it once again, but very interesting to see these beautiful shells on the path. As you can see, the trail is very well maintained. They made a staircase to get up here. And this is a rainy season, so if you leave this without weeding a bit for a couple of weeks, this would be completely overgrown. So clearly they maintain the trails really well here at Rumi Wilco. All right guys, so we made it right here. So it's been a while. We've been hiking for a couple of hours almost. I'm thinking we go up here, we cross, and then we go down this way. This last bit here, it tells us on the map that it's a little bit dangerous and not recommended to go up there if it's raining. Now it is raining a little bit, not a lot. So we'll see. We'll go explore. If we feel like we can go all the way up, we will do it. But yeah, this is great. This is a great hike, by the way. If you want a good exercise, if you want to sweat, get your leg muscles burning, this is one of the ways to do it. All right, so we made it up to almost to the top. We're not there yet. There's still a little bit more to go, but I just wanted to show you guys the beautiful views here of the Vilcabamba Valley here in the province of Loja, Ecuador. Check out this beautiful valley where we live. I mean, we're so blessed to live here. I feel so blessed to live here with my family. We've got these gorgeous views, beautiful mountains, lots of nature, perfect climate all year round. And you know, it has its pros and cons, but overall living here is really it's really quite a blessing. So I've been here for 12 years already. Clearly I'm enjoying it, and I think you will too. So if you want to come check out Vilcabamba, come say hi to us at the Abundant Living office. We'd love to see you here. So another interesting thing in this region, a lot of areas have this wild sage growing. And this is everywhere, in the mountains, in the wilderness, all over the place. And this is actually sage. I just took a picture with this app that tells you the name of the plant, and it comes out as common sage. And this has the most delicious aroma. It smells so good. I know some people will put it and kind of tie it up with some little fabric and then burn it, dry it up and burn it for, you know, incense type of thing. But it's everywhere here, and I was always surprised because it's really a wild plant, but it smells just like sage, and it's a very, very delicious aroma. So we weren't able, unfortunately, to go up to the top. We did fly the drone, so you get to see that right now, but the trail is damaged somewhat. It's definitely a tough one. So if we had some kind of rope to rappel up there to ascend, that could potentially work. But yeah, we decided to just call it a day. It's starting to rain a little bit, so beautiful, beautiful place. Rumi Wilco, Vilcabamba, Ecuador. Let's keep walking down, see what else we can see. But we definitely recommend checking out Rumi Wilco when you come to Vilcabamba. So right here we find ourselves on the floodplain trail, which is the trail that's down along the river. As you can see right here, beautiful Vilcabamba River. This is the beautiful Vilcabamba River coming down from Vilcabamba. There's multiple rivers that have met together to come to become this river here. and it's a beautiful place. You can go for a swim. The water is fresh and pure. Let's go down and take a look. They say that one of the secret of longevity in Vilcabamba is that the local people always used to wash their bodies in this river. So not only you have the freshness, the cold water that energizes the body, but also you have the negative ions coming from the movement of water. And then what I was told is that afterwards you leave this clean, crystalline water dry on your body. It helps the body detox, it helps the body to be revitalized. So this is wonderful to have clean, pristine water in Vilcabamba, Ecuador. And then while we're here, it's also worth pointing out another interesting plant that grows really well along the rivers here. And it is right here. Let me see if I can reach. All right, this right here is what's referred to as the matico. Matico is a plant that grows really well along the rivers around here. This is a medicinal plant. It has antiseptic properties. People will typically boil it, use the water for cleaning wounds, cleaning your hands, putting on your scalp, and those types of things. So if you have dandruff or this kind of stuff, right, skin issues, you can use the matico water and do that. Someone was extracting matico oil in town. I believe it's still available. A lot of people were using that as well. And this is a wild tree that grows really well along the rivers here in Vilcabamba, the matico. It has a very interesting smell as well. It's kind of nice. It smells potent is what it is. So another interesting plant that grows well along the rivers here is the carrizo. This is almost like a type of bamboo. It's not nearly as strong at all. It grows these long pieces of carrizo, and you know, people will harvest those. Like this one's already dried out, and it's being used for like decoration. So sometimes they will be treated and used for sort of like in the roof. You can cut those and make them into little round things. In the UFO, the United Falafels restaurant in Vilcabamba, they used to have that on the ceiling, is what I'm referring to. So the ceilings could be made out of the carrizo, and they make nice, you know, walking sticks, swords. My son and I like to pick those and do sword fights, and of course they'll break apart, but yeah, one of those plants that grow here very well. So another interesting thing you'll notice here on the Rumi Wilco Trail and all around this valley is the coffee production. So as you can see here, we have some green coffee. Coffee grows really well here in the region. Vilcabamba is well known for its coffee. Malacatos, Loja, Gonzanama, Chaguarpamba, and other areas. There's some really good coffee grown here. If you love coffee, you will love Ecuador. Ecuador has some of the best coffee in the world. You can find some really good coffee shops, restaurants that serve espresso, cafe americano, cappuccino, all of these things. So the coffee is really good here, and especially in Vilcabamba, lots of restaurants have their really good coffee machine, espresso machine, so you can get some delicious coffee here in Vilcabamba, Ecuador. So right here, this is an example of some of the lodges, the rustic cabins that are for rent here. There's one here, you see it's elevated on stilts. It's pretty much a wood construction, very simple but very beautiful, right by the river where you can hear the sound of the river, very quiet. Of course, you can hear the sounds of nature, the birds, and yeah, they have this available. So once again, in the description down below, we'll put a link to the Rumi Wilco Eco Lodge and Nature Reserve if you want to come visit. So right here, as we're exiting, just want to point out that this cabin is also for rent here in Rumi Wilco, and I believe this right here as well, and the other cabin that we're going to drive by right here is also available for rent. Another thing I wanted to mention before we exit is the fact that we are driving now to go to Vilcabamba, so we have to take the road. But if you wanted to come here by foot, you could walk from Vilcabamba on the Sendero Ecológico. So right over there we have a hiking trail that will take you and lead you all the way here to Rumi Wilco from Vilcabamba. So that's an easy way to get here. It probably takes about as much time on the trail than on the road. So definitely recommended to come check out Rumi Wilco. So thank you for joining us today on our tour of the Rumi Wilco Eco Lodge and Nature Reserve. We truly recommend checking it out if you come here to Vilcabamba, Ecuador. We hope to see you here one day, and until then, we'll see you next time. If you're interested in real estate properties, all of our property videos will now be uploaded on a different channel. Please click the link in the description down below.